Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. We are back. The prospects are hopping tonight. For anybody that hasn't been paying attention, all the Giants' top prospects, it feels like, are having big games right now. Giants are coming off another win. They've won the last two. Finally, I'm not going to say solved the San Diego problem because, they did still split the series and they're 2-4 against them on the year, but 2 straight wins feels nice. And there was a big roster shakeup yesterday. So these are all things we're going to talk about tonight. We got Ricky in here. Dan is going to join us here in a few minutes. His PC decided to take a crap today. So, at some point that'll get going and we'll get him in. But how you doing, Ricky?
Pretty good. Looks like Dan's still trying to find his way to the light at the end of the tunnel in his cave.
Yeah.
But he'll be back at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy last week since we've been on with all the roster shakeup, the wild games. You had a blown save in there. You almost had another one today. The comeback yesterday, down 5 runs halfway through the game. So it's been wild. We've definitely missed a lot in the last, 5-6 days.
Yeah, I mean, this series against San Diego was pretty crazy. 4 1-run games. I mean, they just as easily could have lost all 4, and they just as easily could have won all 4. Every game was super tight. You kind of felt like they let the first 2 games slip away, and then it almost felt like they stole the last 2. So at the end of the day, 2-2 is probably about how that series should have gone when it's all said and done. Dan says it's his karma for pissing hundreds of people off on X that his computer's not working. That's probably there's probably some accuracy to that. Yeah. We'll share this post as well for everybody, for the world to see. Dan may have angered a few people on X, as he does. But yeah, anyway, this it was a good series. Lots of good things that I think we can take away. I think number one, I mean, at least the offense finally did something yesterday. I think that was probably the biggest positive to see, was the offense show some signs of life. It felt like they hadn't done that in a while. The pitching continues to be excellent. Every single starter. Well, actually, Harrison had a rough start, but the 3 guys that are actually in the rotation and not just filling in for injury currently had good outings. The bullpen on the whole was really good. Camilo just blew a save, which we see it sometimes with Camilo, and I know you have some thoughts on his pitch selection, but yeah, all in all, it's they at least split. I think that's the positive.
Yeah, for sure. It's just frustrating because honestly, the most encouraging thing from now 6 games that they've played against the Padres, they've pitched very well in, I think, every single one of them, including the 2 that were in San Diego about a month ago now, I believe. So that's been very encouraging, seeing them handle, for the most part, Machado, Tatis, Jackson Merrill, etc. And it's funny because you look at the first 2 games in the series, you get a no-name starter in game 2 of the 4-game series. He pretty much deals against the Giants. They get absolutely nothing done. They also blew that game after leading in the 9th. That was the Camilo game. The first game, you got Kolek, and you couldn't scrap together one single run, which would have won you the game. You lose in extra innings, so you absolutely could have won that game. And then we go back to yesterday's game. They had no business winning that. They're going against the Padres' best starter this year in Nick Pivetta, and he was just mowing them down early on. And then all of a sudden you get a little bit of life after you're down 5. You finally see a little sense of urgency from the offense. And then you get that nice 2-run double by Elliot Ramos late in the game. And it just really seemed to energize the rest of the team, all of last night. And then they kind of worked that into today a little bit. They got down 2-0 early, but then they had 2 or 3 innings early on in the game where they mustered together multiple base runners and just couldn't get that big hit until Dom Smith, the newest Giant, came up to the plate and hit that nice double, ground rule double to drive in 2. And then that ended up being all they needed the rest of the game.
Yeah. Daylight Dom came up big. Patent pending. Or trademark pending.
Well, we gotta see if he can stick around for at least a year before you give him a nickname.
Yeah, right. All you need is a nickname. This fan base will never want to let you go.
No doubt. But yeah, I mean, even today, we still didn't really see the offense get going. I mean, like I said, they had shown a little bit of sign of life early on, and then they kind of flatlined later out in the game. So it's still kind of frustrating. Now we'll kind of see what happens going forward with Dom Smith in there, and if they decide to continue giving Daniel Johnson a little bit more run in right field over Mike Yastrzemski, or if that just ends up being kind of a platoon situation. You've also now got Harar mixed in there. He started out in left today. Ramos slid over to right. Or Ramos was DHing actually today. So you got Harar mixed in there too. It almost kind of seems like Harar might be more of the Motto side of the platoon that was there with Yastrzemski before. Hopefully they can find him, a few more at-bats mixed in and not have everything so spread out. But it does kind of seem like the writing is on the wall a little bit for them to just continue to scale back Yastrzemski's playing time as he's going into another one of those month-long hardcore slumps that he tends to get into in the middle of the year.
Yeah. The thing with Yaz is, and I know a lot of people were super excited and they were trying to like give us crap earlier in the year where they were like, oh, see, he's hot. Look at it. He fixed everything. And, they were talking about like his swing path was a little flatter. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll be a little more consistent this year because of some of that stuff. No, it's New Year, same Yaz. Like he's going to go through a couple hot streaks and he can carry the offense for short stints where he gets just insanely hot. But now we've ridden out one of them. There's a second one that'll probably come at some point, but how long are we going to wait around for it? Or are we going to just start dialing back his playing time so that way he's not just an auto out for 3 months? It's a tough situation to be in. I know we like to joke that he'll probably go on a tear in September. If this team gets eliminated, he'll probably hit like 6 home runs in the month to pump up his stats. But I mean, I don't know. You can't wait forever. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I think Daniel Johnson's the answer. I don't. The guy's been a 4A player forever. He's 29 years old, but he does some things really nice where I view him as like a high, kind of an ideal 5th outfielder where he can play really good defense in center or right. I mean, and left if you need to put him there, but he can play high end defense in all 3 spots, and he's got speed. So now you've got a threat off the bench to steal a bag. I like the swings he's taken so far, but I mean, if he starts playing a significant amount of games, like it's kind of like Koss. I feel like you're going to see him get exposed a bit. So not trying to like rain on the guy. He had a great game yesterday, but it's just that's the player he's been, and that's kind of what I would expect. Dom Smith, I wouldn't expect a whole bunch of 3-hit games out of him, but he has shown an ability in the past to swing it a little bit. And frankly, he doesn't have to do much to be an upgrade over Lamont Wade Jr. He's a better defender today than Lamont Wade is. He's really only needs to be like near league average to give you substantially more production than Lamont Wade was giving you. So it is an upgrade. The way Bryce is kind of playing right now down in the minor leagues, you kind of wonder if they're just trying to limp to the finish line, meaning limp to whenever he's going to be ready to take over, because Buster is well aware that it's unacceptable, the level of production they're getting out of first base, and they're just trying to get something out of the position until they reach the point of, all right, it's your job, dude. And that could be, I mean, Pavlovich said, it's possible that we see him at the trade deadline. I still don't think it's going to be that soon, but I mean, I've kind of put myself out there that I'd be looking at like last week of August personally.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I'll start with the ads of Harar, Johnson, and Dom Smith. Something I would say that is really going to help having those three on this roster now is just as of earlier this week, the Giants were the worst team in the MLB against four-seam fastballs. This is Dan's post, by the way, on X that
he upset some people.
Upset some people, to say the least. Always stirring the pot.
Okay.
But yeah, going back to Johnson, Dom Smith, and Harar all being added to the roster, the Giants, as of earlier this week, I believe the start of the Padres series, were the worst team in the league against four-seam fastballs. And all three of those guys can hit the fastball, and that is more of their strength. So I think just that alone kind of can help raise the floor a little bit for this team and this offense specifically. And I think that is something that may help them at least just manufacture an extra run or two a game here and there, where you're seeing, Willie and Chapman really struggle against these belt high four-seamers. So I think that alone can really help the team. Now, do I expect these guys to be world beaters and really tear the cover off the ball game in and game out? Absolutely not. I think Dom Smith is a big league caliber player, but ultimately I see, him just giving you a little bit higher floor than what you're getting out of Wade, with much better defense at that position, because it's his true position. So I think that alone will be a nice add, just at least temporarily, until we figure out what's going to happen with Bryce, whether, he gets added to the big league club, like you said, before the trade deadline, or if, Dom Smith needs to hang around till August and he can just give you, league average type production. I think he'll hang around. Now, as far as Daniel Johnson goes, I don't see him being anything more than like a fourth or fifth outfielder typically, but he's a guy you absolutely can afford to have pinch running late in games and coming in for defense, because as much as we like Mike Yastrzemski's defense out in right field, Daniel Johnson, his first game in the lineup, showed out in right field that he's got just another step to him than Mike Yastrzemski has. Because, I mean, I know some on X disagreed, but that play, I really don't think Yastrzemski was getting to, because Johnson has far better speed than Yastrzemski does, and he kind of had to reach out for that one.
Good first step on it, too.
Oh, yeah.
It was a perfect route, perfect first step. No chance he has good side. He doesn't have the range.
And he absolutely looks like he could be playing center field if you need him to, with that kind of speed. And you even saw it in today's game. He covered a ton of ground. I remember seeing a ball I mentioned you guys in today's game where it looked like Jung-Hoo Lee was fully expecting on going for it, and then Johnson kind of came out of nowhere and just snatched it up, and he's just like, oh, okay, I'm not really used to this. Like I said, Yaz is great out there defensively, but Johnson looks like he has another step to him. And if he's a 29-year-old journeyman, you can afford to have a guy like that on the roster who can just come in, maybe give you a pro at bat from his experience through all these minor league games he's had. And you're not really worried about hurting his development at 29 years old like you would be with Luis Matos, who we all need to remember is only 23 years old, regardless of where we stand with his options. He is 23 years old. Like, he is far from being a finished product. We have to understand that he is the type of player that just needs more seasoning, whether it's in the big leagues or if it's at the AAA level. He just needs consistent at bats to be able to prove himself. You just cannot judge him on these little 5-game samples where, he's playing, like I said, 5 games over a 3-week span. Like, no young player is going to be able to develop that way, plain and simple.
No, I mean, I did the math right before he had been sent down, because I looked at this when they were, when they sent him down, and like before they made the big roster shuffle, they sent him down like the day before. And at the time, I was like, we're really sending him down instead of DFAing Lamont Wade Jr. when you look at, people like Ben Kaspick and Pavlovich, and some of them were like, well, look at the production. It's very similar. Their WRC pluses are close. And I'm like, you're comparing a guy that's getting everyday at bats or near everyday at bats to one. And I did the math on Matos. He was getting 7.8 plate appearances per week. How in the hell is a young player supposed to develop and stay sharp in that? Like, if we're saying a player needs to kick down the door to earn bigger opportunity, but then we're going to give him less than 8 plate appearances a week to try and have any kind of rhythm or feel in the box, I mean, you're just asking for it to look like it has with him or Schmidt or some of these guys that are getting very, sporadic playing time. Oh, that was weird. Did you pull yourself?
No, I did not.
Oh, that was weird. Yeah, StreamYard just moved you. But yeah, anyway, I mean, you're kind of looking. It's a tough look for that. Now, I think it kind of ties in a little bit. Ed's asking here, what's up with Yaz? I get not starting one game, but 2 in a row. Is Yaz hurt, or is the Giants front office sending a message? Well, he did play today as a defensive replacement late in the game. And I think, you look at what Yaz is doing this season, and he started off hot. Obviously, he's cooled off, but he's down to a 236 average and a 705 OPS. He's about an 0 for 4 away from dropping down to a sub 700 OPS. So I honestly think this is actually a good time for them to send Matos down to Sacramento. I know Jeff Young kind of put it out there where, you can't pull him back up for 10 days after he goes down, but you also don't end up burning an option of his if you pull him up within 20 days of him going down. So there is going to be a window after the 10. We'll see how he looks down there. He didn't look like he was chasing a bunch today. I watched his at bats. He went 2 for 4 with a walk. Looked pretty good. Hit a double down the line, single up the middle, drew a walk. That it was a lot of good things to see there. But give him every day at bats. See what happens with Yaz. Get somebody that's better suited to be like a reserve outfielder. And then, you know what? If in 2.5 weeks, if Mike Yastrzemski's still riding the skid, maybe it's time. Maybe that's when Buster Posey's had enough. And he just decides, all right, we're ripping this Band-Aid off. We're not using an option on Matos. He's going to come up. He's going to play. Or he's going to at least play the majority, and we'll have Johnson kind of spell him from time to time. Like they have options there.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, something people need to understand, like you just said, is, unlike in years past, Yastrzemski's on an expiring contract. So the leash does not need to be nearly as long as in years past, because last year there was a point, I believe, in like mid-July where Yastrzemski literally dropped to 200 on the dot. And it felt like he was just right on the line of getting DFA'd or getting optioned, because he still had minor league options. I believe he still does. And that has happened on 2 different occasions now. And it seems like every time middle of the summer hits, they get to Colorado, gets a nice hot 3-4 games, and saves his job on the big league club. And that's something people forget, because they always look at the totality of Mike Yastrzemski's Giants tenure, where it's like, oh, he gives you roughly, league average production or slightly above league average production year in, year out. He plays a good right field. Keep him around. Well, this year, different story. You, like we said, you clearly have a guy in Luis Matos who needs the extra playing time. you're just dealing with a 23-year-old with a ton of potential. And at some point, you need to see what he has. You cannot just write him out in AAA over and over and expect something different to happen. You got to give him run at the big league level. You can't just start him for 2 games, let him hit a 3-run homer, and then bench him or send him down to AAA. You got to let him build off of good performances and get his confidence up. Otherwise, you're never going to develop anybody. So I really don't think the leash is going to be as long with Yaz if his cold stretch continues for, say, another 3 weeks. We could be having serious conversations like we were with Lamont Wade up until, this series.
Look, I don't want to say that I was right, but it's no coincidence that the Giants, won back-to-back games once Wade and Yaz were out of the lineup. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I certainly think this is in play, Aaron. There's, there are some guys that are supposedly coming available potentially, especially a guy in Boston right now that the ideas are getting floated out there that he's potentially available, and that's Jarren Duran. Now, granted, given the incident that happened with him last year, it might be an interesting fit in San Francisco, to say the least. I'm not sure how receptive the fan base would be to him. I know there's a lot of people that don't like him. To each their own, but he is out there, and he is a guy that I could see Matos maybe being in the deal, or they end up shipping him off in a different deal if they do that. Because if you make that trade, your outfield set. Like you don't make that trade, and there's no room for anybody. Because you look at a guy like Duran, he plays every day. You look at Lee, he plays every day. You look at Ramos, he plays every day. Mm-hmm. You don't have room for anybody at that point, unless they're going to be a 4th outfielder. And we've already seen Matos struggle in that role a little bit. So, I think it's certainly on the table. I think everything's on the table right now. And I think Buster would probably give you that same answer at the moment. Is he's looking for someone to take the job. And so far, no one really has.
Yeah, and going on Ed's comment there. So a DFA isn't a straight release. So if they do DFA Yaz, it gives them a window to work out a trade with teams. Obviously, you DFA him, you're not going to get maybe the exact same value as if he's still actually kept on the roster and you're just throwing him out there. But regardless, you're not going to get some crazy prospect for Yaz. You'd be very lucky to get even like a number 30 prospect in a system out of a guy like him. If we're trying to get rid of him and our offense has been pretty rough, how do you think other teams are going to view him? I could see a smaller market team trying to go after him if they battled some injuries, or maybe a team in the division that's very familiar with his game. You could see something like that if it's like like a Rockies or somebody like that that's just trying to like survive at this point. You never know if a team like that may be interested, but you can't expect to get anything out of it. It's really a moot point. When it comes to getting rid of Yaz, it's more just about clearing the spot and finally giving somebody that could actually be a part of the future here that playing time. Because ultimately the writing's been on the wall. This season, they shopped him in trades. They didn't get anything done. And then you're starting to see it now. They're kind of doing with Yaz what they started doing with Wade, which is you're starting to see him get sat more and more frequently as he continues to struggle more and more. And they're kind of trying to give other guys run to say, hey, you go out and have a couple of good games, you're going to keep earning more playing time. And they're leaving it as more of an open competition versus what they have in years past.
Yeah. And it very well might not be that they DFA him. They might trade him for, they might eat some of the money, trade him somewhere. Benji Molina got traded in, June, after Posey had been called up, and he played a couple weeks, and they went, yep, this guy's going to be the guy starting now. And they went ahead and just moved Benji Molina, and they got Chris Ray for him. It's like you might not get much of anything for him, but it might just be a trade of some sort just to kind of move him on, because I don't think Yaz is going to be. He seems like the kind of guy that is, will help the team, but it is a contract year for him. I don't think he's going to be super happy about getting benched the rest of the season or being in a significantly reduced role when he's a free agent after the year. So it might just be in everyone's best interest at that point to trade him for whatever you get if you're at the point of wanting to move off of him as a starter.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize, like you touched on, he's in a contract year. It's the final year of his contract. There's no team control. You take that into account with his obvious, slump that he's going on. If he continues on that downward spiral, you combine that, his age, his obvious regression, and the fact that he's, on an expiring deal, a team's not going to give up a fortune for him, plain and simple. So you take what you can get, or, I doubt they would DFA him, but if no team's biting, they'll explore that option for sure. But shouts out Joaquin.
Shout out Joaquin, graduating from Cal Poly next Saturday. Congrats, man.
Congrats, bro.
I want to say thanks for the content throughout the school year, lads. It was fun watching the show rants while studying. I don't know what you're talking about.
Appreciate it.
I never rant.
It's never happened before. It definitely won't happen again.
I got to be good for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Took too much heat these last couple days.
Dude, I just realized what you put on your handle on your.
Oh.
I didn't even see that.
Kudos to Cody.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I was like, you're right.
Dan will straight up bookmark people's tweets and like months later just slap something on it if they talk crap to him. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't block people like somebody does.
No. But you guys want to look forward a little bit? Anything else we want to talk about for the last week of games? Looks like they went 4-3 because they played 3 in Miami.
I'm trying to think, what did I miss while you guys were going?
How about Robbie Ray?
Dude,
I'd like to bring up Robbie Ray. The dude's been an absolute freaking ace this year for the team. Logan Webb has been pretty consistently good. He's had a couple rough starts as of late. Nothing crazy. The Royals start wasn't good at all. The Tigers start was shaky early on, and then he kind of rebounded and kind of weathered the storm like Webb typically does. Ended up finishing with like 3 walks, 10 Ks, something like that through 6. But yeah, Ray's just been rock solid. They've lost 1 start all year of his, and it was the 1-0 game against the Marlins, I believe. It's been nuts. And this is kind of something we talked about in the offseason that, don't get too worked up on what we saw out of Ray last year when he came up for a little bit, because last year was never going to be the year to count on Ray coming off of Tommy John. And now we're seeing him not only bounce back, but then add a third pitch on top of it that he's been very successful with. And you're seeing the guy be an absolute frontline starter. So with a guy like Ray, that is super valuable. And he's not, unlike Rodon and Snell, he is not going to be gone after this year. So you're looking at 2 guys at the front of your rotation that are just rock solid. And if you can finally at some point muster up a little bit of offense, you could be really dangerous in the postseason when games start getting a lot tighter. And as we know, the Giants are already used to playing in a lot of these types of games.
Yeah. I should pull up my receipts on Robbie Ray.
Yeah, we talked about it many times on this show during the off season.
Yeah. No, it was one that I know a lot of people were out on him. And the crazy thing is I felt like I was one of the most optimistic fans when it came to Robbie Ray, where I was like, listen, and you talked about it too, Ricky, where it was like, coming off Tommy John, he's not going to be productive last year. Anybody that expected it was kind of crazy. But coming into this year, I'm like, he's got a history of durability. Like this, he's one Tommy John surgery is not going to make me think all of a sudden he's not going to be a durable pitcher once he's fully healed again. And so I always felt like, okay, he'll get 160 to 180 innings for us, and he'll be like a 3.6, 3.80 ERA. Like, I didn't expect an ace, but I was like, this guy will be at least like a mid-rotation starter and eat up some innings for you. He has been so much better than even I predicted. And like you would like
Yeah.
we were like way more bullish on him than most. Like that's pretty crazy
Mhm.
how good he's been this season. Like they genuinely have a shot against any team if they can get to the postseason. If they can figure out just a little bit of offense, like they have a puncher's chance against anybody. Because I mean, I get what the Dodgers have in like their lineup and everything, but is anybody taking the Dodgers rotation and pitching staff as a whole over the Giants right now? Hell no.
No, not a chance.
Yeah, nobody is taking their rotation over the Giants or their bullpen over the Giants right now. The Giants have the number one bullpen in baseball, and 1 through 5, they're better than the Dodgers starters at the moment. Except for, I guess you can make a case for Yamamoto, but
Yeah.
didn't he get injured too, or was it just Sasaki that I'm thinking? I feel like everybody's hurt. So
I think just Sasaki. So right now they have, I believe, Yamamoto, Gonsolin, Kershaw, and Dustin May, and I think Landon Knack has been starting games for them still. It's not been pretty. None of those guys have pitched well at all. Like, and we're not talking just like league average production out of them. The Dodgers, as their pitching staff as a whole, has been bottom 10 in the league in ERA for the entire season. They've been atrocious outside of Yamamoto. So you take the Giants pitching staff against them hands down all day. But again, it really just comes down to when the Giants do start seeing the Dodgers here come this summer, are the Giants going to be able to muster up, maybe 4 to 5 runs against that pitching staff? You're going to have to. You might even have to, scrounge out a couple more runs on top of that when you're able to get into that team's bullpen, because their lineup has been so damn good. It's carried them, but they're kind of going through a lot of what the Giants are going through, but just in reverse order right now, because their pitching staff has been absolutely atrocious. The Giants lineup has been atrocious, and they've kind of been on an even pace together. They've both been roughly 500 teams now for about a month, and nobody really talks about that with the Dodgers, because all you ever see get flooded anywhere is Ohtani highlights.
Well, see, that kind of I don't know if you guys already pulled this, but that leads me like to go hand in hand with Mark's comment here. Like, that's how abysmal the offense has been as of late. Because the bullpen's been stellar, as you guys said. The starting rotation's been stellar. Like, you got major surprises up and down throughout your pitching staff, and yet the offense has been so lackluster. If they would just be average or just slightly above average, you're pushing 50 wins already. So, and I don't know. That's why it shouldn't be a surprise that these moves happened this week, because of this right here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I want to say somebody had posted the best ERAs in baseball, or it was either the best or the every team's ERA in baseball since like over the last 21 days or 21 games. And the Giants had like a 2.47 team ERA, and they were better than the second place team by, I want to say, like 0.4. Like they were way ahead of the number 2 team, and they were 10-11 in those games. It's like they don't need much out of the offense. They just need something. They need a pulse. And right now, and the offense didn't have one. I mean, they went 15 straight games without clearing 4 runs. I mean, that's pathetic. That's real bad. That's historically
16.
terrible. 16 games. Oh, even better. So they went almost a full NFL season without scoring 5 runs in a game. Like it's bad. And they just need a little bit. And maybe Bryce is part of that answer in the not too distant future. They definitely need another bat. We'll see. I mean, I stand by that they need 2 bats, preferably somebody that can take advantage of the current dimensions of the park, get a lot of extra base hits, some speed, contact. Like, to me, that's what they need, and a thumper like Bryce. But, I'll just take good hitters at this point. Like, I'm not going to be that picky.
So I was just looking at it. The Giants are just in overall team ERA. They are second in the MLB right now behind just the Mets. And the Dodgers are currently 25th. So that's where they stand. And then the Giants bullpen ERA, as we know, is first in the league, and it's not even close. They're at a 2.36 ERA, and the Mets are at a 2.88. So there's a pretty sizable gap between 1 and 2 there. So that just shows how dominant they've been. And then the Dodgers bullpen ERA is 17th. So the Dodgers have not been great on the pitching side at all. However, they're leading the league in runs scored and home runs. So there's that. But it just shows it. I mean, if the Giants are currently 18th in runs scored as a team, which is incredible given how bad they've been for, I mean, most of the month of May, really. So if you just get like I even said when we made our prediction video before the season started, if this team just gets 4 to 5 runs a game, they're gonna win a ton of games this year. Like, they will easily clear 90 wins, in my opinion, if they can get 4 to 5 runs a game, because the way they're going right now, you're having 2 to 3 guys in your rotation every turn giving up only like 1 to 2 runs a start, and then the bullpen's been basically lights out every single night almost.
Yeah. It's keeping them in games. I mean, it is a recipe to win, but damn, they've got to start taking some pressure off them, because if this pitching staff has a bad month, this team's going to fall out of it completely. Like, they don't have enough offense to withstand that. They're not going to be able to have a bad month pitching and still win, or still only go like a couple games under 500. If this team has a bad month pitching, you're looking at like a 9-19 month or something. That's just going to take them completely out of it. So, fingers crossed they can find a few more bats. I think it is sustainable what they're doing with the pitching staff, but yeah, they're going to have to find something here. Let's see. We start a couple comments. This is actually going back from earlier. I seem to remember Bailey got some torpedo bats, tried them, but didn't use them. Any idea if he's swinging one now? Can't tell. Need a bigger TV. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if he got more. I'll give Bailey a little bit of credit. He swung the bat a little bit better the last week-ish. The contact has been better. He's hitting some balls hard, which is a start. Hell, he's about to pass Adames when it comes to batting average and OPS. So if he passes Adames, I'll probably just stop bugging him until Willie does something. It'll all be on Adames at that point. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I know over the last 15 games, he's outplayed Adames quite a bit offensively. So it's rough. I believe somebody mentioned Willie is officially on the interstate. So that's where we're at with that.
Yeah, he needs a day or 2 or 3 off at this point. Like, Willie needs one too at this point.
Yeah,
dude's in the worst way right now. I just want to see some quality contact. I mean, he drew a couple walks. He had that sack fly today. He made good contact on that one. He got it, pretty deep into right center. I mean, that's just like it. We just need to see him hit some balls hard. Like, that's kind of the thing. I mean, he's got that big uppercut going. He's got the high leg kick. I know Ricky, you pointed out, like, he had gone away from that, and now he's just right back to it. He's chasing every slider off the plate away. I swear, it's like first pitch, every at bat, slider down and away, and he chases. It's like, dude, it's just killing him.
That's all they were throwing him today.
Yeah,
the one at bat, like 5 straight.
It's almost every game, and then not only is he not able to touch a slider, he's been horrible at fastballs up above the belt and at the belt. So they've been just peppering fastballs up and sliders away consistently, and they're just staying away from the middle in part of the zone, and there's just been no adjustments made. There's no hard contact. There's just really no light at the end of the tunnel right now. It's pretty rough to see. And I just think we're at the point where, screw his feelings. Like, give him a couple days off, let him reset, let him stop just constantly thinking about baseball and get a breather and get a mental reset and work him into like the 7 spot in the lineup, because you cannot afford to keep having him bat 5th in this lineup, because the guy goes up there and even when he's drawing walks, it's very clear that's what he's looking for. He's just trying to get on base any way possible, because he is just more often than not nearly aggressive enough when he does get those good pitches to hit.
Has he had a day off this season yet? I can't think of one.
I think he had one where he DH.
A DH.
Yeah.
But just a day off, not DH,
No.
not playing defense. That's what I'm saying.
And we've had one out of Chapman, and we've had where he completely didn't play because Casey started at 3rd, and then you've had, I believe, 2 now for Jung-Hoo Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jenny, welcome in.
What's up, Jenny? Yeah, he desperately needs a couple days, and it just, I don't know if they need to flatten his swing out a little bit. I don't know the answer. That's going to be between him and Burrell, and get Barry in there with him. I don't really care. Figure out anybody that can.
It's like I said, get a priest in there with him.
Send him to Italy and let him go to the Vatican, get blessed by the Pope or something. Like, I don't know what would solve his issues at this point, but he is down in the worst way. He needs a few days. I mean, unfortunately, he's on a 7-year contract. Like, he's not going anywhere. Like, he's got to figure it out. And, he might be a guy that he gets hot and he's good. And like next year, he doesn't have as much pressure on himself, whatever. Like, he's a guy that I feel like in the worst way needs to just get a hot streak in where he can just finally like settle down. And because he's probably still like the weight of that contract, I'm sure, is weighing on him, especially given how he's playing right now. Like the longer this goes, the worse it gets, because that's all he's thinking about is like, damn, I'm making way too much money to be playing this crappy. And the fans are going to have already started turning on him. It is what it is.
Even then, though, I'm like, I don't even understand how there's that much pressure on him anymore. Like, everybody's pretty much acclimated to him doing absolutely nothing day in and day out. And it's not like the Giants fans are like the Phillies, Red Sox, Yankees, Mets fans, where they're just booing the living crap out of him every day. It's not like the Barry Zito days where fans were angry at that time. Like, the dude's getting roped left and right, and he's getting booed off the field. It's a little bit different when you're just striking out, because he's blending right in with the rest of the lineup right now. So really, I mean, it's not like all eyes are on you, dude. Everybody else is doing it. Just give yourself a mental reset and just stop. I really do feel like he is putting too much pressure on himself, but I don't understand it. Like I said, it's not like the fans are really being hard on him at the games. I've been to a handful of games and I haven't heard really anything.
No, I think it's louder on X than anything.
No, for sure. I was going to say, can I just point someone out? Obviously you guys saw it. I think MLB Network was talking about it, and they're kind of blaming Oracle Park like for Willie's struggles. And I see fans bringing that up too. And can I just say, for the record, his splits are much worse on the road. He's actually better at home. So the whole ballpark thing is a bunch of BS. I don't know if it's mechanical. I don't know if it's mental, but yeah, someone's got to change. It's definitely not the ballpark's fault.
The last time I checked, a pop-up is still a pop-up in all 30 parks.
Yeah.
Strikeouts are still strikeouts in all 30 parks. Like, if he was hitting the ball hard, I might have some sympathy for him with the ballpark, but he's not. Like, that's the problem. And yeah, there have been probably 3 balls that I've seen where I'm like, some better park dimensions might have done him some favors there. I know he hit that one double that, I mean, he hit it like all the way to the track at the 415. It might have been like 3 weeks ago at this point, but he hit the one against the Rockies that hit off the wall when he had the 2-homer game, and we all thought he got number 3. He had another one that was right at the center field wall. Like, he's had a couple that it's like with a little bit more friendly and reasonable dimensions in San Francisco. Yeah, he might have had a couple more, but he's just not even hitting it hard. I mean, the hardest ball he's hit all season have been the ones that he's hooked like 30 feet left of the foul pole, and because his timing's all jacked. So, yeah, I mean, I just want to see hard contact, and stop swinging at those damn sliders down and away.
Yeah.
Once I start seeing that, I'll be like, all right, this guy's going to come out of it.
Yeah, and I don't, like you said, I don't think the park is really a factor at all, because it's like, ultimately, how many hitters parks has he played in that he's done absolutely nothing at? The only one I can think of that he did anything at was Philly with the one home run to right center field. Other than that, I mean, I know he's had at least 2 or 3 of his home runs at home by pulling the ball, which he honestly should be doing more of, if we're being honest. I don't know. I mean, I've seen him hit in Cincinnati, not even come close to hitting homers. Like, I've seen it in a bunch of other ballparks, and he's not even coming close. So it really has nothing to do with that. I mean, I've even heard from him the excuse that, he's used to playing in an indoor stadium, and we saw him hit in Miami, do absolutely nothing. So it's not that. He's talked about it being cold. It's not that, because he's played here for how long now? Like, we're over a third of the way into the season. We're going to be halfway into the season here in a couple weeks. So at some point, like I said, just give him a mental reset, give him a couple days off.
Yeah.
Because at some point, the excuses are enough.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's hit on a couple of questions. If you guys have any topics you guys want us to talk about, definitely throw them in the chat. Somebody asked, are we bringing up Bryce Eldridge before or after the All-Star game? All-Star game's what, mid-July?
Yeah, it's a
third
little bit
week
after,
or something like that.
A little bit after a month, yeah.
I would say probably after.
I would
be my
like that way
prediction.
too.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's a good one. What point do we give Farhan his flowers for giving us an elite pitching group rotation in Penn? I mean, okay, not to sit here and not give him credit, but some of that did come before Farhan. Guys like Ryan Walker, Camilo Duvall, Logan Webb, those are all pre-Farhan, so just keep that in mind. I think Randy Rodriguez was also pre-Farhan. So, yeah. And Tyler Rogers was pre-Farhan.
Yep.
So
almost
a lot of our
Pen.
the main guys in the pen were actually all before Farhan. But I will give Farhan his credit for a lot of the pitching that we currently see. Now, one thing I'd say is when you invest basically an entire draft in pitching, you better have some good pitching in your system. And I don't think anybody thinks Farhan was just like the village idiot when it comes to like knowing how to, having some eye for talent. But the reality is, like, he had no idea how to build a culture, and he had no guts to make any kind of big, bold moves to try and create a winner. So, like, I will give him credit for some of the talent that he has acquired, but I had no faith in the guy running the organization and treating these people like human beings going forward. So,
yeah, and I mean, if Farhan really deserves his flowers, why was it that he only had one winning season in 6 seasons with a roster this year that is very similar to what they had last year? They're just using the talent more appropriately and with more consistency than they have in years past. They prioritized, getting more innings out of the rotation, something he never prioritized. That has made the bullpen an elite group. Like I said before the season, if they do that, it will be a very above average group. And all of a sudden, the Giants are a lot more competitive ball club rather than just a consistently 500 club. Yes, the offense sucks right now. We'll see how that plays out over the course of the season. Ultimately, we can't compare the two and just give Posey and Zach's regime crap off of, the first 3 months of the season and compare that to the totality of 6 seasons under Farhan. But ultimately, you're seeing a lot more common sense being used under this regime, and it's really showing on the field, because there were only a handful of moments outside of 2021 where the Giants actually had this competent of a team and playing this solid of baseball over a 2 to 3 month stretch.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm gonna bite my tongue on the Farhan comments. You guys know how I feel, but yeah, like you said, I'll give him flowers for finding the couple guys, but in general, it's the new regime that's bringing it out of them. So that's who I give most of my flowers to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, to Ricky's point, look at how guys like Birdsong, Roop, and even like I'm going to go down into the farm. Look at how guys like Carson Wisenhunt, Joe Whitman, even down in like A-ball with like or high A with like Josh Bostic, down in A-ball with these guys. Look at how these guys are being developed today versus how our pitching was developed under Farhan. And you're seeing a team like with Randy Wynn and Posey running the development side of things. You're seeing organizational philosophy, or philosophical shift where they're no longer treating these guys like kids, so to speak. They're not going to just sit there baby these guys into throwing 100 and 110 innings in the minor leagues. They're like, y'all need to build up a major league workload. If you're ever going to be major league starters, you need to build up a workload. And you got guys like, Carson Wisenhunt making 4 straight starts where he goes 7 innings. I've seen Joe Whitman go 7 innings now twice down in Double-A. I've seen guys in A-ball in Eugene going 6 innings. Like you look at these guys' pitch counts. If I look at my notes from like last week, I could find probably 5 guys that threw 85 pitches or more. A lot of these guys, some of these guys are in the low 90s, low to mid 90s. So you're seeing a lot of guys like actually building up their arms. So it's just, yeah, I don't think Farhan was an idiot when it came to talent, but developing it, I think he was just so over his head. Like he had no clue how to develop talent. Now, do Posey and Wynn know how to develop talent? I don't know, but I got more faith in them than I did Farhan. I saw 6 years of what Farhan did. It was terrible. Get somebody else running the show. And I'm willing to give Randy Wynn and those guys time to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and as a result, I think you're seeing a lot more production in the minor leagues up and down this year. I mean, yeah, of course, last season you had, outside of just Bryce, you had some developments, but you're seeing in AAA, Marco Luciano bringing back some of the power that just completely disappeared last year because of weird swing adjustments they had to make. You go to Carson Wisenhunt, who struggled last season. You're seeing him be basically the best pitcher in the Pacific Coast League where they play in AAA. You go down to Whitman, who's having a much better year than he had last season for the most part in a more advanced level. You keep going down, you're seeing James Tibbs really start to pick it up. Of course, he was, in a short sample size last year, struggled a little bit, but then you're seeing multiple pitchers start to really come into their own as they get to pitch more innings and not have these weird little 3-inning starts like they were the last 2 seasons. You're seeing Maui Ahuna get rejuvenated all of a sudden under a new regime. You're seeing Dakota Jordan come out. You're seeing all sorts of different guys. Walker Martin is looking like more of a competent hitter and showing off a lot of the power that we knew he had. You're seeing a lot more guys starting to show some of their potential than what you saw last year. Because honestly, the last 2 seasons, outside of a small handful of guys, you were seeing almost every top prospect just underproduce from what you would expect them to be doing at each level that they're at the last couple of years. So now, is that all on Farhan, or, does Posey and Zach and their coaching staff have a little bit of hand in it? Who knows? We'll see. It's early still, but you're seeing that while Farhan did a pretty good job of acquiring talent throughout the minor leagues, like Cody said, you weren't seeing it being handled very well.
No.
And even at the big league level.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll give Farhan credit for the last 3 years in the early rounds. Like, he was true to his philosophy of going under slot early and then going way above slot with his next pick. And, we can all have different opinions on, should they have gone best player available with their first round picks and things like that. But the idea of being able to get 2 guys that have like first round talent by doing it that way, I understand his thought process there. But and I like him doing that where he was able to get a guy like Dakota Jordan in the 4th round. Like, I mean, Ricky and I praised the hell out of Farhan and Michael Holmes and all those guys for the draft last year. Like, I love him getting a guy like Dakota Jordan, but would any of us have any faith that if he was still running the show and he still had his stuff going on down in the minor leagues, that Dakota Jordan right now would have like a 22% strikeout rate? A guy that had serious swing and miss and, pitch recognition issues coming out of college, because I wouldn't. They'd be trying to get this guy to yank everything over the left field fence all day long, and he'd probably be striking out 30-something% of the time right now. So, he's great as a number 2, where he's not having to make the decisions, where he can just have an eye for talent. I don't want that guy running that guy has no business running any team at this point. But I think we should move off Farhan because he gone. We don't care. So we'll move on from that rant. But a couple other things here. Jake question here. Nobody knows if Johnson's better than Posey. Posey knew what he was getting into economically speaking. Perhaps Posey shares the Johnson's economics and being cheap as well. I think Posey cares about winning. I don't think he is as concerned about the money if he is winning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, his, first splash signing was the largest deal in Giants history. So I don't really think it's, being cheap as much as, we talked about it in the offseason, how they had kind of have a financial reset just due to going over the last couple of years. So I don't think it's really a money thing. I think he's more focused on winning than anything.
And I still stand by what I said when he got hired. I do not think Posey would have came here if he was under the impression that they were going to be strapped for cash and unwilling to spend money. Why would he leave his family, move from Georgia back to California, take this job and take on the stress? It's not like the guy's hard pressed for cash. Why would he do that if he was going to have a million limitations? Like, there is nobody that they're going to trust more with their money than Buster and his decision making. That's why he came here. That's why he got the job. Ultimately, I don't see that being a thing. And then, if anything, Buster is going to be in a more advantageous situation than Farhan was because of all the real estate stuff that has been developed on Mission Rock and all that stuff that's being opened up. Some of those spaces haven't even been filled yet with leases. So they're barely starting to roll the cash in from that. And not even just mentioning that, but also the A's being in their first season, leaving the Bay Area and soon to be out of the state. So the cash is only going to be flowing in more as we get deeper into Posey's tenure. So I don't see that really being the issue going forward, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Just realized I was muted. Yeah, no, I agree. So I don't think Posey would have taken this job. Like Ricky said, I think it's pretty simple. I don't think he would have taken this job if he felt like his hands were going to be tied on building a winner. I think he genuinely cares about this organization. I think he just wants to see it succeed, and he's super competitive. And it's kind of like when John Lynch took the job with the Niners, where it's like some guys kind of have that competitive nature where they just don't, even if they have a cush life off the, away from the game and all that, it's just like they want to win. And I think that's kind of where he's at. And I don't think he's going to let the money getting his way, and nor should he. Oops, wrong one. Alex says, can we talk about trading Flores while he still has value? Oh, Dan would love to talk about this. And let Encarnacion DH. We've talked about how Flores' production isn't sustainable. Trade while he has value, showing inconsistency. Before Dan goes on one of his caveman rants here, I'll throw my 2 cents in there. I'm not opposed to it while he has value and everything. I can't honestly say I foresee this team trading him, given how he's like one of the few guys that's actually been willing to adjust with 2 strikes and been pretty clutch knocking guys in. I think they're going to realistically probably hang on to him for the rest of the year. Now, I'd love to see his playing time get cut back a little bit, because you do look at his numbers, and other than the RBI total, they don't really jump off the page at you. So, yeah,
don't say that. Don't say RBI.
Still
that was the most rage bait comment ever, just to see Dan get worked up.
Not wrong. So, but yeah, I don't think the team will. I don't think Posey's going to do it when he's actually being productive, is kind of where I'm getting at here. Whether it's good or not.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Do I want to trade him? Abso-freaking-lutely. If you know me, you know I want to trade him. Whether he's doing great or whether he's doing bad, trade him. But realistically speaking, the only way that I can envision them moving him is if his production continues and the Giants continue to slump. If they fall out of contention come trade deadline, like if they're 12, 15 plus games back, and you're kind of like, well, probably not gonna get a wild card, or it's kind of a long shot, then yes, you trade the guy who you have the most value for, which is Flores. That's the only way I can realistically see it. But like Cody said, as it stands right now, I can't. And no, don't you put that evil on me, Jason.
That 41's going to hit different.
No.
Why do I feel like it's going to come down to like the last series of the season? He's going to be sitting on like 98 RBIs or something. And every at bat, he's going to have like 2-3 guys on base, and Dan's just going to be sweating it out, hoping he doesn't get that one hit or that one home run to put him over.
My phone will be going crazy.
Oh, it'll
X here.
Activate his X account.
Our group chat, dude. Yeah, that'll be stressful for me.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Let's not put that into the universe.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Wilmer Flores' last 15 games, he's hitting 228 with a 553 OPS.
That's good, right?
No
How many
home
RBIs?
runs, 5 ribbies.
Let's tone it down.
Let's not pull up his baseball savant page again.
No.
It is the most wild thing you'll ever see.
Don't say that.
Oh, man. I agree, Joe. They should have traded Blake Snell last year. I think all 3 of us advocated for that one. Yeah, I mean, they sat on their hands. They dumped a couple guys with Soler and Alex Cobb, who didn't even pitch for them last year, and they dumped Luke Jackson, but that was really about it. They didn't really do much.
Yeah, Wilmer's 41 and Luke Jackson's, what was his number again? You guys remember what number he was last year? I just tried 77, I think is right.
Yeah.
41 and 77 are going to be the first numbers to go on Dan's back of fame.
Back of fame. I couldn't stand Luke Jackson. Oh my god.
I really try to forget that guy was a part of this team. So bad. And then Bochy trying to troll us all by having him be his closer is just like wild.
He blew one more game in Oracle Park.
He did.
It's right there with that last little bit of Jake McGee for me, dude. I don't know. I saw PTSD from that guy being able to throw nothing but one pitch consistently, and everybody knew he was only throwing a fastball. I'm like, what are we doing here? Just absolutely traumatized from that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the kind words, Greg. Appreciate it. But we don't want that in the future.
Everybody is rooting for it right now.
Oop. You know what, Joe? That Burns deal might. I don't know if anybody heard about, because I didn't. I don't know if anybody heard the results of the MRI they were going to have done on his elbow, but he had some choice words when he was getting pulled out of that game. Let's just put it that way. And I'm pretty sure it was my elbow is effed. So that does not look good. And that, yeah, that deal could age very poorly.
Hey, and when all of you guys were on here angry that the Giants didn't sign him like we were, but then when that contract came out, we told you guys it made no sense for the Giants to do that contract. The Diamondbacks really backed themselves into a corner with that deal, and now they may be stuck with a horrible contract going forward because of the opt-out or the opt-ins in Burns' deal. It's basically a Farhan lose-lose type contract that they sign him to. And now the Diamondbacks might be dealing with an aging, often injured Corbin Burns going forward.
Who's the last big free agent pitcher to sign with Arizona that didn't just implode? I mean, Greinke actually had a couple good years there, I think. Definitely wasn't the guy he was before the deal, though.
Who, like Kurt Schilling or something?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's been a long time since they've had a legitimate free agent pitcher. I mean, they've got Jordan Montgomery, Eduardo Rodriguez. They've now got Corbin Burns, who was pitching well, but now he's hurt, and that contract is going to be terrible for them. Zach Greinke, Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah,
I think there's a couple others I'm forgetting too.
Yeah, nah, it's been rough. I mean, if it's Tommy John, like there's zero chance he's opting in or opting out. Like if it's Tommy John, like that's going to be all this season, possibly all of next season as well. He very well might not pitch next year. So
I wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, because I mean, when you get, let's see, Ray got hurt opening day of 2023, and he did not pitch until what, July of last season. So I mean, even best case scenario for Arizona, you're probably looking at like next August or September. So like, yeah, that guy's done. LD, I'm pretty sure that was the old ownership group. That was Newcomb and all those guys, or McGowan and Newcomb and all them. But I could be mistaken here. But I mean, I'm not gonna, the ownership group is the ownership group. The reality is I'm not gonna sit here and complain about them if they go out and spend next season. I don't think the ownership group is unwilling to spend. I do think they've had a bit of an unwillingness to go above and beyond on certain players, and they're going to need to get over that. They got to stop chasing a deal and just trying to get they got to accept that they're going to have to pay the California and San Francisco tax a little bit, where players are going to want extra money to play in this ballpark. But I don't think the ownership group is cheap. And the reality is I could probably look around baseball and pick out 15 owners that are worse than the Giants owners easily. So I don't think it's the worst ownership group. Oh, there we go. Mark says they were been a part owner back then. So,
and I just looked it up. Corbin Burns is on the IL with right elbow inflammation. So he missed a start in May with right shoulder inflammation, and now he has right elbow inflammation after saying in the game that his arm was dead. Personally, it sounds like they're kind of kicking the can down the road right now. But more often than not, that does not age well, especially a guy in his early 30s. Yeah, I don't know. It also said that he is seeking second opinions, but so far they seem encouraged by the fact that there's no structural damage or anything like that. So we'll see how it plays out. But I mean, I wouldn't feel too good about his chances of coming back and getting a fully healthy season when he returns either. So
the only bright side of the Corbin Burns dilemma was the a cool moment on the live show. That was probably the only bright side of it.
Dude, I was so tired that night.
I think we all were. Then that woke.
That was a
all
long one.
We
That was
were
like a
all
2-hour
about-
show.
Yeah,
It was
we were
longer
all
than
about
2
to-
hours.
We were about to cut out, and Dan's like, wait.
Yeah, good
Oh
times.
man, that's super funny. But yeah, before I'm going to pull one more thing up here. Like I said, keep the chats coming. Of course, I didn't actually flag it. That's a rookie move by me on this one. Somebody asked about the minor leagues box scores if we saw them. Well, I'm blind. I can't find it in the chat. But yeah, before we go hop on there, we do have like 180 of you guys hanging out in here, which really appreciate that. Anybody that enjoys the content, please do hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it for channel growth. We're going to do another giveaway like we did last week. I don't know what the item's going to be. We're all going to figure that one out. But when we get to 1,750 subscribers, which we're 30 and change away from that right now. So hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, all that good stuff. If you want to get another giveaway here soon. Last week it was the signed Hayden Birdsong jersey, which Mark Graves won, who's hanging out in here with us right now. We're going to hopefully have another good thing for you guys in a couple weeks. But yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we got to figure that giveaway out. We originally were going to do a hoodie, but it's middle of June, so not a hoodie. So we'll figure something else out.
We'll save that for like 2K. I think 2K will be probably like back end of summer, or like early fall, like getting into the playoff race and all that. And I think that'll be a good time.
Yeah.
For that.
Aaron says, "What's the giveaway for 1751?"
A Mike Papierski rookie card.
That's a good one.
Kelby Tomlinson's bifocals.
I was gonna say you can insult me for free on X if you want for 1751.
Yeah.
Any way
Access
stuff to give away?
Access to Dan's Twitter for a day.
No, you don't want that. You'll be called every name in the book. Ed says, any Wade Jr. stuff for the giveaway? Yeah, I just picked up what my dog left in the yard. It's in the trash.
Oh man. But yeah, somebody did ask for like if we saw the minor league highlights. Yeah, I mean, lots of good stuff. Some of them are gonna get posted here probably soon. You know what? I have my X account already up. We'll share some fun for y'all right now. For anybody that didn't see these,
the pitch.
I'll mute this because nobody needs to hear that. First of all, the noise off of that, off the bat for him, which I did mute it. But Bryce hit a grand slam today, first home run in AAA. That's his second game of the year there. So that was nice to see. Also had James hit one 420 feet, 106 off the bat in Eugene, for number 4 prospect. So that was nice to see. And then Dakota Jordan went Oppo Taco. So the announcer on this one tried to claim it was the wind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the Dodgers affiliate?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Whatever.
That's
all you need to know. I was listening to him talk yesterday when Matza was pitching, and it was pretty funny. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna admit that I'm really glad that San Jose is not in the same division as the Quakes because they can pitch. So he's not wrong. They've got quite a bit of impressive pitching down there between Bresnahan, Matza, Ferrone, Hunter Dryden's having a great year. Yeah, lots of good arms down there right now.
Derek, I know Ricky and Cody have been telling him to bring Tibbs up to Richmond yesterday, so hopefully in the coming weeks.
It'd be nice to see him. I mean, he's playing real well. His average is very misleading. We've said that a few times now, but it'd be really nice to see him get his average up just a little bit more. I mean, I would honestly like to see him at least get up to like 250-ish before going up there. But I mean, I think he's ready. I mean, the strikeout to walk ratio is very good. You can tell he's handling the pitching well up there. 11 home runs while missing some time is really encouraging. Like I said, the walk total is good. He's hitting a lot of hard contacts. You're seeing him do it to really all fields. I think he's ready to roll. He's a college guy with tons of experience. I don't see why not. But that might be a move we see here in, I don't know, end of the month or early July. They might be waiting on that. It's kind of hard for us to answer just because we're not 100% used to this regime and how they want to handle promotions. Obviously, Bryce and Trent Harris got promoted pretty quickly, but we don't really know how they're going to handle some of the other prospects that haven't just absolutely dominated their level.
Yeah. It's a legit question, and I agree with Ricky that like it would, in a perfect world, it'd be nice to see that average up at like 250 or so. I'm also a guy that like, I don't need to see the hits, the luck change for the guy before I see him move up. I've seen enough at this point where the bat quality is phenomenal. The play discipline's phenomenal. He hits the ball hard. I mean, he pretty regularly gets, elevates the ball at 100 to 107, 108 mile per hour exit velocities. It'll play. Like you keep hitting the ball hard, hits are going to fall eventually. And he's had some tough luck this season. He has an exceptionally low batting average ball in play. Entering today's game, he was hitting 232 with a 236 batting average balls in play. Like it's like almost unheard of low. So for a guy that hits it as hard as he does, so you'd expect that some positive regression there. Yeah, I mean, I put out my video the other day. Like there are 4 or 5 guys that I listed just there that I want to see promoted, and I could easily make a case for probably 3 or 4 others that I didn't even have on the list. A couple of those arms in San Jose, guys like Diego Velasquez, but I mean, there's a lot of talent down in the system right now that is really doing a good job of forcing that issue, which is nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just looking, he has 37 strikeouts to 36 walks. So, I mean, like I said, the strikeout to walk ratio has been elite. He's, for having a 233 batting average, having a 372 on base percentage is pretty damn impressive. Yeah. And then the slugging percentage is in the high 400s. So he's doing very good in that regard. He should still be in the lead for the organization in home runs with 11 now. So, Bryce, with the rapid pace he's hitting them, is probably going to catch him and pass him, especially being in AAA now. But other than that, I mean, very encouraging signs from James Tibbs so far.
Yeah, he's got 11. Ramos and Chapman all have 11.
Mm-hmm.
Flores
and Wilmer has
the
10.
Lead. Yeah, I don't think he's going to take that lead back at any time. It's pretty crazy. Bryce, for anybody that's wondering, has 8 this season in 36 games between AA and AAA, which if you put that on a 162 game pace, it's a 36 homer pace. So,
well, give him some more games in Sugarland, Texas. Give him some more games in Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
that should be coming up pretty soon.
Playing in Tacoma next week. That's not I will say this about Tacoma. Number one, don't hit it to center field. It's 425 to center field.
That gap in right center too.
But right field down the straightaway right, short wall, short porch. It's you can get some cheapies out there. It doesn't take much. I saw Wade Meckler hit 3 home runs in a week in Tacoma last season because it's not a deep right field. If you just pull it.
Don't say that name, Cody.
Yeah, don't say that name.
Oh, I get to watch him again. I can't wait to watch him bat flip a 14 hopper up the middle.
Hey, say what you want about
Yeah.
Tacoma's right field. It's still bigger than Yankee Stadium.
A Little League field's bigger than Yankee Stadium in right field. Here's a good one. I think this is a good one to finish it on here. Ocean's Home says, "Hey guys, if Buster asked you to come up with a pitch for Duran, who would you give up?"
Seriously or non-seriously?
Seriously. We all know Dan would give up, Flores, Meckler.
Yeah.
He would sign Nick Ahmed just to trade him again.
Yeah.
Because once wasn't enough.
I'll let you guys go first.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 untouchables in the entire Giant system. Like players that people actually want. Like Chapman's not going anywhere. Adames isn't going anywhere. Lee's obviously not going anywhere. But 3 like inexpensive players that like actually could potentially be trade pieces, and theoretically, I have 3 untouchables in the entire system. Bryce Eldridge, Elliot Ramos, Hayden Birdsong. Anybody else is on the table for me. So now for a guy like the deal I kind of floated out there on X, I know a lot of people wouldn't be a fan of this. I think this is possibly about the cost, though, to get a player like Duran, who's only, 27? He has 3.5 more years of team control.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly Boston wants pitching. You could probably, this wouldn't be my initial offer, but if this is what it took, I would probably hold my nose and make the deal. I think potentially it could be something like Kyle Harrison and Landon Root going back, because you're looking at a top prospect, high ceiling player, Kyle Harrison, and a guy that is proving it currently at the major league level in Landon Root. So
I like it.
Yeah, the cost is going to be high. I mentioned something like that, and possibly even having to throw in a guy like James Tibbs. The cost is going to be high. If you do include Roop instead of like one I mentioned, I think was Harrison, Wisenhunt, and I think Tibbs, or like a Dakota Jordan, something like that, because you have a mix of like a high ceiling, lower level prospect, but you also have major league ready arms, which does carry a lot of value, which, like you mentioned with Duran's contract situation, that over his current production is really what's going to bring the Red Sox back a ton of value in return. So it is going to take those more advanced arms to get a deal done, and it's going to take a lot. What was it that Bleacher Report deal that they threw out there? It was
Birdsong and Eldridge.
That is
tripping.
I mean, the Red Sox may ask for that, but that is insanely high for a guy that's barely hitting 700 OPS right now. Contract value or not, that is just insane. You're looking at a talented young arm who's proving it at the big league level, has a ton of years of team control, and Eldridge, who is on the verge of a call up to the major leagues. Like, there's absolutely no way the Giants would ever even think about that. But yeah, like we said, it would probably take a couple arms that are major league ready, and then you probably throw in one of your top 10 hitting prospects as well.
Oh yeah, you're opposed to that.
Never use Bleacher Report for any kind of
don't
education on the minor leagues or trade packages for that matter. They're delusional.
Or anything in general. I got beef with them.
I was too lazy to look up the thing where it's the guy that's like in a Walmart or something. He just like picks it up and it's like and he puts it back up. I was too lazy to find that, so I was just like, I would literally fart in the phone of this.
Nah, no kidding.
I think they did that in Family Guy too.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
With Peter.
I was gonna say a deal that I would do personally. It may not be enough. I would do something consisting of, as you mentioned, Harrison, Yaz, because of the name. I feel like that'd sell some tickets in Boston, and then a guy like Black or Whitman.
Yeah,
that's what I would do personally.
Like, like they have McDonald right now, who's still he's like their number 8, or number 8, number 9 prospect right now on Baseball America. You might be able to get away with doing like a Harrison and McDonald, and then throwing in, like Ricky said, a toolsy guy down in the lower levels, whether it's a Rainer Arias, you know, Dakota would kind of hurt for that kind of deal, but you're kind of locking up the outfield at that point. But you can maybe get away with like one of those guys with potential down there. I'm not sure. It's hard with 3.5 years. It's a tricky situation. Right now I'm pulling up Jarren Duran's numbers, and I know this season he's not off to the hottest start. He's got a 274 average. He's only got a 747 OPS. But you look beyond that, and it's like this guy's on pace for like 69 extra base hits and 35-ish steals this season. Who in the Giants, and you look at this guy, he hits like 40 plus doubles a year. He'd still have probably 15 to 20 homers pop, even in Oracle, which I don't really care about the home runs. Like, he is the exact kind of player that you want in this park. It's similar to Lee. It's like he doesn't strike out a ton. He's about league average on the Ks, but hits a ton of doubles, ton of triples. He can absolutely fly. He can steal you bags. He gets on base. Like, that's all the stuff that you need right now. Like, he would be a dynamic table setter for this team. So if you can get him for anything short, like kind of what we've put out there, or even potentially less, like if you can get him for that, like to me, it's a no-brainer. Like, you just do it.
And something I mentioned to you guys yesterday with Duran too is you look at it this way. He's going to be extremely cheap while you have him under contract. And then by the time he hits free agency, he's going to be like 32 years old. And at that point, you've had more than enough time to develop somebody, whether it's a Tibbs or whoever. And you're not really having to pay top dollar to lock down your outfield, like you said. So, and I honestly think if he's hitting free agency at age 32, unless he's just become an absolute monster in this park, you probably just let him walk. You take him on for this year and 3 more seasons and just let him walk. And then you don't have to spend the money, and, you save that money and go spend it on extending Elliot Ramos. And then again, like I mentioned, if you do have to go and throw in a better hitting prospect along with like a major league ready arm in that deal, you go and throw Tibbs in there, because if you're bringing on Duran, it doesn't really hurt you that much if you're getting rid of Tibbs, because he's going to take Tibbs' spot in the outfield. I mean, where else are you going to put Tibbs unless you throw him at first where you're trying to work Bryson, or you throw him at DH? And I mean, he's going to have to really be high level in the minors the next year and a half if they're going to think about having him be a full-time DH.
Yeah, for sure. So it'd be an interesting one. I know the Padres are sniffing around. Supposedly, Cat's joining us. Supposedly, they're not willing to trade DeVries, though, or DeVries. I don't know how much that would impact them getting that deal done. The reality is if you strictly look at the Giants farm system, like a lot of people will look at them and be like, you only really have Bryce in there as a top 100 prospect. And the reality is they do have arms that are currently in the majors that are not ranked, that are very valuable, that would be really valuable in a trade, like similar, relative to top 100 prospects. So I think they have the ammunition to get it done. If Boston's really after, if they're really after major league arms, I definitely think that the Giants kind of have an advantage over a lot of teams in that regard.
Yeah, especially the Padres. I mean, the Padres don't have crap for arms. They need arms, if anything. I mean, we saw who in a 4-game series they're throwing out. I mean, Dylan Cease is supposed to be their ace, and he's been pretty bad all year, or most of the year. His ERA's in, I think, the high 4s still. You've got Pivetta, who's been mostly pretty damn good all year. which fine. But then you're looking at Kolek, a rookie pitcher, and not much else. You're not going to have what's his name? The righty that came over from Pittsburgh, who's out for the year. The right-handed pitcher, Musgrove.
Musgrove. I was like, they have Michael King, but he was New York.
Yeah, so they have King still, and then Musgrove is out for the year. So I mean, they really could use arms if they want to be a serious contender down the stretch, because the Padres, whether we believe it or not, their hitting has not been very good this year. It's a very top heavy lineup, and they just have not scored runs. They've scored less runs this year than the Giants have. So that tells you all you need to know. So
very
now, do I think the Giants have the balls to go and make the move for Duran? Probably not. The Padres definitely do. We've seen it time and time again. They'll probably go and give up their 3 top 5 prospects to get a guy like that. But yeah, I don't think the Giants would make the move. I could see the Padres doing it for sure, though.
Yeah.
I still personally think that the move for the Giants is probably just going to come at first base in the form of like a rental type player.
Yeah. I could see like an O'Hearn type.
Yeah.
Because can't O'Hearn play corner outfield as well?
Yes, I believe so.
I could see a guy like him that way. If Eldridge is ready, they could bump him to a corner.
I'm honestly kind of hoping that the Brewers kind of struggle a little bit. I know they've gotten hot recently, but kind of hoping they struggle. I really wouldn't mind getting Hoskins in here as a rental, because I don't remember him being bad at first base, and then statistically he's got a 269. He's not a great defender,
average.
But I don't think he's going to be anything like Lamont Wade, though. No. He's got a 269 average with 9 home runs. So, I mean, I would absolutely take that on the Giants. I mean, again, we're talking a low bar here, but if you can get just some decent production and a guy that can, occasionally drive in some runs for you, hitting 6th or 7th, you'll take that. Or even maybe 5th at this point with the way the middle of their order has been.
Yeah. Trying to look at where. Oh yeah, Milwaukee. They're 9-1 in their last 10, but they're still 5.5 out of their division. I think if you go off the wild card standings right now, they are floating around like a game out. They're a game behind the Giants. So yeah, it would be interesting. But we've ran past. Normally we wrap this up at 10 o'clock. Wanted to get that topic in though, because it is really an interesting kind of player out there. We always talk about getting those types of guys in San Francisco. And I mean, I don't know how willing Boston, I don't know the level of truth and how willing Boston is to move him. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I know they're really high on Roman Anthony and they want to get that guy up, and maybe they will make that deal, but it's just hard to know. I know that he's very well liked in Boston. So it will be interesting on that side, but do you guys have anything we want to touch on before we wrap it up?
No. Go Giants. Win again tomorrow.
Yep. We got Atlanta. Who we got pitching tomorrow? I don't have it up in front of me.
We got.
Is it Birdsong?
Might be. Let me double check.
That sounds right.
Correct. Birdsong against Schwellenbach.
Never heard of the guy, so he'll probably go 7 scoreless.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid.
3.13 ERA.
Yeah. Schwellenbach.
And Dom Smith is the only one with an at-bat against him. Everybody else has never seen him before.
Nice. That'll end well. And then we got Elder versus Webb. Game they should win. And then, which they probably won't. And then we get Spencer Strider, Landon Root. Strider has really struggled this season coming back from his injury. So will be interesting.
To be expected.
Yeah.
Got to win 2. It's kind of where I'm at. Got to at least win that series. It's gonna get tough. Don't we get the Dodgers next week? I think it's the first time next weekend. So go to Colorado after this, and then they go to LA. First time all year that they play the Dodgers.
Well, hopefully the Coors Field gets the bats going before they go into LA.
We know Willie likes it there.
Yeah.
I don't know if Willie likes it anywhere right now.
That was the only place he's liked this season so far. That's why I say it.
I think Willie likes it in the batting cage because then he doesn't have to see the ball go 200 feet straight above his head.
No, dude, I saw a clip of him in BP the other day, and he fouled one off like above his head, like he just said. I'm like, bro, come on, man.
It's BP, bro. He fouls one off the bar. It comes down, hits him in the head, knocks some sense into him.
Who did that happen to?
It
was that
happened to
Soler?
someone.
Soler last year, I
Yeah.
remember.
Oh boy.
Man.
Brutal. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. Thanks everybody for joining. Once again, if you do enjoy it, please do hit that subscribe button. We will do the giveaway at 1750. So smash that, send it to your friends, all that good stuff. Follow Ricky on Instagram, sfgiantscove. He posts a ton of highlights, both in the minors as well as major league highlights. He posts the daily lineup cards in there, updates, news, all the stuff. He shares a lot of good stuff to his story. So honestly, as far as Giants follows, he's got the best stuff going right now. If you want top to bottom coverage,
And that's a non-biased opinion too. Dude's
No.
legit on Instagram. Whatever you do, don't follow me on X though.
definitely follow Dan on X if you just want the laughs.
Do it for the memes.
Just don't take him seriously. I can't
it's not
stress
that
that
deep.
hard enough. He's just trolling half the time, and people cannot figure it out.
It's funny.
So, all right, everybody, go Giants, and we'll catch you next week.